Hello, this is my video response to Kelly Bear's video response to Anna Astral Lady's, Anna Astral Lady Tarot's hashtag your favorite deck. Got that out, quite a mouthful. She posed 9 questions. Well, actually, I guess I should start with the name of the deck. It's the RWS 2.0, my favorite deck. And it's a Rider-Waite-Smith deck with Pixie's original artwork that's been cleaned up and recolored for the 21st century. How did I find this deck? It was by accident, actually. After collecting a number of mass market decks, I started venturing into indie decks, and I discovered MakePlayingCards.com and leafed through their online pages to see what they had to offer, and I found a deck that I liked the artwork of and another I wasn't sure about. So I ended up ordering them both, and the one that I really liked the artwork of, I was less than bowled over when I got it. I liked it, but it just, wasn't quite what I'd hoped for. On the other hand, the one I was less enthusiastic about completely bowled me over. That was the RWS 2.0. What is it that you love about this deck? So many things. I think if you have a favorite deck, it should be one of those kind of decks that when you take it out and look at it, your eyes light up, you see a halo and hear angels singing, your mouth drops open in awe, maybe you drool a little, and you're just filled with joy to see it, to touch it, handle it. That is what I love about this deck. If you needed to name the deck in a few words, what would they be? Oof. A perfect go-to therapy deck, maybe. I don't know, that's not very good. A magical deck. My constant companion. It's hard to come up with something that really fits perfectly. Do you have a primary use for it? Well, I use it for the same thing everybody else uses their decks for, to consult, to confer, to affirm, to question, to answer, to give me direction when I'm not sure about my way ahead. Even though you love it, no deck is perfect. So what could be different? Well, I'll show you the deck in a minute, but, well, okay, here's an example. As beautiful as the images are, there's a little copyright on the edge, which I could do without. If I wanted to make it perfect, I'd take that out. I'd also maybe improve the back design, and the majors and the court cards don't use Pixie's font, and they have a little color band at the bottom, so I might change that. And also, this is my least favorite card. I love the Hangman in general, but I just don't see him in blue. That aside, the deck is perfect. What will you say to someone who just got this deck? Do you love it? How much do you love it? Do you keep it in a special place? This deck doesn't come with a box or a little white book, so I bought one of these tins from MakePlayingCards.com, and it's the perfect protective little home for my deck. I put a little spread cloth inside, and it rests on that, and I can spread that out and consult the deck on that. I take it with me everywhere. It's in my shoulder bag when I go out. My constant companion. I have other decks that I like very much. From time to time, I want a little variation, but this one is always there for me. That's this year. This year I got this deck, and I love it. And, you know, these favorites change over time, but I don't foresee this as changing anytime in the near future. We shall see. Do you read with it for others? Not yet. I don't really read for others. I wouldn't mind trying. I just haven't had those opportunities. I don't think I'd want to start off reading for strangers. I think I'd probably want to start practicing with friends. Finally, go through the entirety of or a part of the deck and point out what jumps out at you. Gladly. We have here, these are not in order because I have been using it a lot. But one of the things I love about this deck, besides the color, which is more prominent on some cards than others, you don't notice it so much here. The line work is really amazing, but the backgrounds are in this ombre atmospheric pattern, not flat color, but it changes from dark to light to dark, you know, like skies do. And also you'll notice that the color work bleeds off the edge of the card, so that even though there's a very slim border, it feels borderless because it takes you outside that little pinstripe black line and off the card into the cosmos. Am I making too big a thing of this deck? I don't think so. I love it. I also need to mention that the cards have a really wonderful feel to them, which I'm not sure how to describe. They're slippery, they're slick, they're I wouldn't say they're glossy, but they're not matte, but they almost have a waxy or plasticky look, which sounds bad, but it's not. It's a delight. They always feel really clean and comfortable. They handle very well. You can see they're not overly glossy. And they feel to me like they might be plastic cards, except the edges don't feel plasticky. And according to the information on the website, they are not plastic. They are 3 point something GSM 30. I'm not sure what that means, but I've loved Pixie's artwork for a very long time, but even though I must have half a dozen or more decks using her imagery, none of them have given me the detail of every line of her drawings like this deck has. I've seen things in this deck I've never seen before or never noticed before. For instance, in this card, in the window up here in the stained glass, is the word Pax, for peace. You'll also notice a subtle little touch. The artist made a faint hint of the sunlight shining through the stained glass on that ledge of the window. You can see that little bit of a shadow of the colors from the stained glass. That's an attention to detail that I really appreciate. Some people won't like that it doesn't have Pixie's font. Her font is quaint, and at first it bothered me, but after all, it's only type, identifying type. Many of these cards don't even have a label on them, only the majors and court cards. So it's not something I really miss that much. But look at the gloriousness in this card, both in the water in the distance and in the sky. It adds a new dimension to it, as opposed to just the little lines of ripples down here. Look what happens in the background. That sky is almost three-dimensional. This one's a little bit dark. The colors are a little dark and saturated for me. Some are less so than others, for instance. At first glance, you might not notice a difference between this and other Fool cards from different decks. I have done a walkthrough of this deck before, but I love it so much it's worth doing again. I'm hoping, even though I don't have the best camera, that the details of this deck are registering. I love that there are sharp edges where there need to be, and then blurrier or softer areas where they need to be. For instance, look at that, the sharpness of that cup, and yet the sharpness or blurriness, I should say, of the outline of that cloud that then almost blends into the sky in the background. This is a card that you don't usually see all the little zodiac symbols on the quilt on the bed, and here you can see every single one of them. Here you can see every pebble and every grain of sand on the beach. I'm not as keen on the coloration of this card, but I don't mind it. A lot of the Wands cards I particularly like. That sort of taffy color they have. And look at the radiant aura of light behind the Two of Swords in that sky. And isn't that a beauty? For a card that's so heavy, it's just gorgeous. I like that even though there is a copyright, it is so close to that little black line and so blended into the phase out color on the edge of the card that it's pretty much unobtrusive. Look at how the figures on the back of the throne almost have an aura around them. See how those salamanders and lions kind of bleed out a little bit? And yet there's so much detail in other areas of the card, in the line work, in the crown, in the toes of the shoes, the little salamander on the ground. This is possibly the most beautiful card in the deck. I'm not generally, I mean, the Empress isn't generally a card that I'm overwhelmed by, but that sky is just one of the best cards I've ever seen. A lot of these sort of take you out of the two-dimensional world and just draw you right into the third dimension with these skies. I don't know if I was going to rename this deck. What I would call it. Oh, was that one of the questions I skipped? Oh, if you needed to name the deck in a few words, what would they be? Okay. I was thinking of that more as a description rather than the name of the deck. Well, I wouldn't call it the RWS 2.0. I would give it some other name that's more glorious, like if they hadn't already used the Radiant deck, I would possibly use that. It really is, or the Glorious Color deck, or I don't know. No, I don't have a good name for it, but it is just, the colors are just astounding. Here's a card where until I'd seen this a card from this deck, I'd never noticed that there are gold fish on the uniform of this knight. If you've ever been in any doubt on any other RWS deck what the detail was on the image, I recommend buying this deck to find out, because everything is sharp and crystal clear. Every bit of line work defined. This one some people might take issue with because there's a full moon over the shoulder of the Hermit, which is not in other decks. But I like that. And again, look at the stained glass effect here on those 3 pentacles. Now the Hanged Man, like I said, the blue, it wouldn't be my choice. I have to really think about why blue was chosen. And I asked the creator of the deck, and he couldn't supply me with an answer. It was just an intuitive thing on his part, I guess. I think I would have put a brighter color in the background, although then you wouldn't have this radiance and the halo around his head. So I don't know. But I don't think I wouldn't use a dark blue. If I was going to use a dark color, maybe something earthier, or like a brown or a black, but don't think of dark when I think of this card. I think of enlightenment in a way. And, what is it they say? Can't have light without the dark, but still, something about this particular blue doesn't quite read right for me. Still, maybe if he does another edition, he'll change that. I don't know. Anyway, I'll leave you with that card in mind. You can find this at makeplayingcards.com. It's called the RWS 2.0. And I love the fact that it's almost my little secret. Very few people are aware of it or know about it. And it's like belonging to a private club, us collectors that have this deck. I'm almost afraid to spread the word. As much as I love it and want other people to love it too, I kind of like that I'm in this little private club of people that know about this deck. Anyway, I hope that many of you will continue to do this VR of your favorite deck. Hashtag your favorite deck. I'm looking forward to see what yours is. Until next time, bye-bye.